The one thing that gamers always seem to have trouble with and always end up getting themselves stuck into is having a backlog. It's pretty much a guarantee if you're a gamer that you're going to have a backlog of games because you just don't have the time to play everything you want to play. Especially as you get older and you have more responsibilities in life, which leads to less time to play. And I mean, there are some great games that have been coming out the past couple years. But I'm going to help you out and give you a couple tips. These are 10 ways to crush that backlog. Tip number 1, get organized. Whether you're using something like Backloggery, whether you're using something to organize a Steam library, or just the good old-fashioned spreadsheet, write down the games. Put them into a position where you can look at them, and whether you're organizing them by title, by system, by genre, by whatever how long the beat says for how long a game's going to take you, just organize them. Trust me, it makes it go a lot smoother and it's a lot easier to figure out what you might want to play next. As far as what to play, do one game at a time. I know it might sound kind of counterproductive if you have a large backlog like myself, but playing more than one game at a time, especially if you play in RPGs, is going to lead you to forgetting what you're doing and cause you to either have to start over or to take a lot longer than you would have with the game in question. Playing one game at a time will let you be able to stay on course and finish that game. And when it comes to finishing the game, it's okay to utilize guides. Whether you're going for a 100% or whether you're going for just finishing the game or a specific ending, all endings, or whatever your end goal is for the game, it's okay to utilize a guide. And it's okay to not utilize guides. If you want to be completely blind and just go at it and figure everything for yourself, that's fine too. There's no wrong way to play a game. Well, let me take that back. There are wrong ways to play games, but as far as using a guide or not using a guide, there's no wrong way about that. But like I said, there's a lot of great games that have been coming out. And one way to control your backlog is to limit the purchases. I know, especially with Steam and the different sales that come up, sometimes it can be really hard to not just click that buy button. But if you limit your game purchases and avoid buying the bundles like through Humble Bundle or Fanatical or other places, unless you have an immediate intention of playing the game, as long as you keep from doing that, you'll have less likely of having an overwhelming backlog like myself. I mean, most of the games you see behind me are ones that I still have to go through. And that's about half, maybe not even half of the size of my backlog. No, it's definitely not even half the size, because there's a lot of retro stuff that's not behind me. But if you do have an overwhelming backlog, and even if you don't like a game that you're playing, be willing to drop it. Now, I don't necessarily mean if you just hit a lull in the course of the game where it's just a slow part of the story, if you're playing like an RPG or something. But if you just really just don't like what you're playing, either it's not hitting with you or it's actually a bad game, in your opinion, then, there's no solid rule that says you have to complete it. You can go ahead and chunk it and head off to something new. And you know, if that lull in a story or gameplay session or whatever, where it just nothing's really going on, if that makes you just not want to play it anymore, you know what? It's fine to quit that one too and move on to what you do want to play, because, well, there's an infinite amount of games out there, but unfortunately we do have a finite amount of time that we can play them. So you want to make sure you're enjoying what you're playing. You want to make sure you're finding your fun in gaming. And, you know, as you're going through your games, next tip is swap out the games types to avoid burnout. Sure, it might sound like a great idea to go through all the Yakuza games back to back to back to back, but it's real easy to get burned out going through that many of a type of game, or all the Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy or Tales of, or Trails in the Cold Steel, or what have you, or playing a bunch of platformers back to back. You know, switch it up. If you're someone that only plays one genre, that might be a little harder, but see if you can find different nuances. If you're only someone who plays like Metroidvanias, see if you can find maybe, I don't know, maybe ones with different art styles that'll make things a little different, or different combat or level up mechanics. Or maybe ones that are different difficulties. Just find a way to change it up so that you don't get burned out, because it is actually really easy to get burned out playing video games. I know. I've been there quite a few times. And next tip, if you do get burned out, take a break. It's fine. Go outside. Touch grass. You know, if you're someone who doesn't do that on a daily basis, you know, go outside. Go find something else that you're interested in, another hobby you have. Maybe just sit there and watch TV or watch a streaming service. Check out a movie. If you're into, I don't know, basket weaving or something, it's fine to take a break and do something else. There's no hard and fast rule that says you have to play a video game every single day or every single week or all weekend or whatever. Even if you're a Twitch streamer or a YouTube streamer, there are times where if you're burned out, it's okay. The community will understand. If your community doesn't, well, that's a problem you have to definitely look into, because if your community is not looking out for your mental health, you might want to rethink how kind of community that you've created. Now, when it comes to thinking about things that you've created, the mindset of 100%, the next tip here. It's okay to not get 100%. And if you have an overwhelming backlog, a tip to crush it and get down and knock it out is to shift away from that 100% mindset. Sometimes just focus on completing the main story, maybe some side quests, but it's perfectly okay for some games to not get 100%. You know, it's all right if you don't see every cutscene in a game. You can always YouTube it if you are really, really interested in seeing what that missed beach time was, or whatever the cutscene is. I don't know why beach time is what came to mind. A little too much anime and JRPGs there for that. But it's fine to not go 100%. Next tip. Create one gaming goal for the year. Whether it's I'm going to beat XYZ game, I'm going to beat this number of games, I'm going to try a new genre, whatever it is. Hi, Estelle. Daddy's doing a video. Yes, this is a time where things don't get necessarily kicked out and edited around. Oh, Estelle, you're shaking the camera. Yes, I do apologize for that. My adorable little cat likes to shake the camera around and get into the middle of everything. But yeah, create one gaming goal per year, and you'll find that you are going to get through that backlog just a little bit quicker and a little bit easier. And my last tip, relax. The camera's going to shake. Life's going to happen. Your backlog is probably going to outlive you, because the backlog goes on forever and keeps getting added to. Don't think of this as a to-do list. Think of it as trying to find your next favorite game. That maybe the next one you play will be your new favorite. Yes, it is technically a to-do list because you have these games to play, but don't think of it as a chore. Because if you think of it as a chore, you'll be less likely to want to actually play, be closer to getting burnout, be more likely to have to stop, and you'll accumulate an overwhelming backlog. And you'll end up, well, in situations that you don't want to. In situations I've found myself in before. Now, with these tips, I know they're pretty basic, but they're ones that I've used and I live by as I've been on the quest to tackle my own backlog these past couple years. And I've knocked out almost 300 games out of my backlog. The first thing to do is get organized. Number 2 is focus on playing one game at a time. Number 3, it's okay to utilize guides or not utilize guides. Number 4, limit your purchases so that you don't get an overwhelming backlog unless you're going to play that game right away. Number 5, if you don't like a game, be willing to drop it. Number 6, swap games to avoid burnout. Number 7, if you do get burned out, take a break. Number 8, shift away from every game has to go to a 100% mindset. Shift away from that and you'll get through games quicker. Number 9, create one gaming goal per year. And finally, number 10, it's not a to-do list. It's a to-game list. Create your fun in gaming. Find your own way to get through your backlog. If you have other tips, go ahead and drop down in the comments. You might leave something that will help me out. But until next time, as always, thank you for watching, and this has been Azure Tony. Today, we found a way to have some fun in gaming, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves too. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Me and Estelle will catch you next time. Arigatou gozaimasu.